Hello, future Voyagers, and welcome to Future Voyager. Today, we're exploring a place that isn't just a destination, it's practically a state of mind, Silicon Valley. Consider this video your ultimate Silicon Valley travel guide, brought to you by Zoltán's Adventures, as told by his trusty AI avatar. We'll dive into the history, hotspots, and techie treasures of Silicon Valley, with some fun stories from Zoltán's own trip. First, a quick heads up. The voice you're hearing is AI generated. Why? Because Zoltán originally filmed this in Hungarian, and we've translated it for our global audience. So if you catch any quirky phrasing or a funky accent, blame it on the algorithm, not Zoltán. We appreciate your patience with our robo-narrator. Hey, at least the AI doesn't need coffee breaks. In this video, we'll cover everything from how Silicon Valley became the tech capital of the world to which company campuses and museums are worth a visit. We'll also sprinkle in some of Zoltán's personal experiences, like what Halloween is like in Silicon Valley, test driving Tesla's Cybertruck, and attending the Gen AI Summit 2024. By the end, you'll see why Silicon Valley is a must-visit for tech enthusiasts and the simply curious alike. Before we jump in, make sure to check out Zoltán's other travel videos on Future Voyager. He's explored some amazing places, from futuristic cities to natural wonders. If you love travel and a bit of tech, you'll feel right at home on this channel. All right, plug in your devices and get comfortable, because we're about to travel to Silicon Valley. No passport needed, just your imagination and maybe a good Wi-Fi connection. History of Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley was once an agricultural region known as the Valley of Heart's Delight due to its orchards. The transformation began in the 1940s and 50s, driven by Stanford University, particularly Frederick Terman, who encouraged students to start companies. In 1939, Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard founded HP in a small Palo Alto garage, marking one of the first seeds of Silicon Valley innovation. In the 1950s, the silicon transistor revolutionized the industry. William Shockley founded Shockley Semiconductor in 1956, but a group of his employees, the Traitorous Eight, left to create Fairchild Semiconductor. One of Fairchild's spin-offs, Intel, was founded in 1968 by Robert Noyce and Gordon Moore. In 1971, Intel introduced the 4004 microprocessor, a game-changer for computing. That same year, journalist Don Hoffler coined the term Silicon Valley. By the 1970s and 80s, the region became the hub of the personal computer revolution. In 1976, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak built the first Apple computer in Jobs' Los Altos garage, launching Apple Inc. and the PC era. Another milestone was the rise of the early internet. In 1969, an ARPANET node was established at Stanford Research Institute, laying the groundwork for the internet. By the 1980s and 90s, companies like 3Com, Cisco, and Sun Microsystems were connecting the world with networking technologies. Silicon Valley's success came from a mix of academic brainpower, entrepreneurship, and venture capital. From radios in the 1930s to microchips, personal computers, and the internet, the region became a place where garage startups turned into world-changing companies. Not every idea succeeded, but the culture of innovation and risk-taking made Silicon Valley legendary. Tech companies and their role in the valley. Silicon Valley wouldn't be what it is without its tech giants. Many of the world's most influential tech companies have their headquarters or major offices here. As you travel through the valley, you're basically hopping between the headquarters of household names. Let's talk about a few of the big players and what they do, and maybe why you'd care as a visitor too. Google, Alphabet. Headquartered at the famous Googleplex in Mountain View, Google is the search engine company that likely brought you to this video. Thanks, YouTube. Founded in 1998 by Larry Page and Sergey Brin while they were Stan, Google has grown into a behemoth encompassing everything from maps to email to self-driving car research. In Silicon Valley, Google's presence is huge. Over 20,000 employees in the area. Their campus, the Googleplex, is like a small city of its own, known for its colorful bikes, eclectic art, like a giant T-Rex statue on the lawn, and legendary free cafeterias for employees. Google's role in the Valley? It symbolizes the internet age success story, starting in a garage. Yes, Google started in a friend's garage in Menlo Park, and becoming one of the most valuable companies on Earth. For visitors, Google's campus has a public Google store and the Android Statue Garden, an outdoor display of giant sculptures of Android mascots like the Green Robot and dessert-themed figures. It's a fun stop to snap some pictures and snag a Google t-shirt. Apple Inc. Based in Cupertino, Apple is the company behind the iPhone, iPad, Mac, and a whole lot of our daily tech addictions. Apple was founded in 1976 by Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and a third partner, Ronald Wayne, in that lost age. Fast forward to today, and Apple's headquarters is way fancier than a garage. It's the Apple Park, a futuristic circular building often called the spaceship. Apple Park opened in 2017 and cost about $5 billion. The ring-shaped campus is 0.5 kilometers across, with a lush park in the middle. It houses over 12,000 employees in a single floor. Apple's influence on Silicon Valley is massive. It pioneered the personal computer in the 1970s, the smartphone in the 2000s, and continues to push design and tech trends. If you use a smartphone or listen to digital music, you've been touched by Apple's innovations. For a visitor, you can't tour the spaceship. Sorry, employees only. But you can visit the Apple Park Visitor Center, which has a swanky Apple store, the only place to buy official Apple merchandise like t-shirts and mugs, and an observation deck to view the campus from across the street. It's a must-stop for Apple fans. Plus, great coffee at the cafe there. Meta, Facebook. Over in Menlo Park, you'll find the headquarters of Facebook, now called Meta Platforms, Inc. Facebook was founded in 2004, not in Silicon Valley, but at Harvard, by Mark Zuckerberg and friends, but they moved to Palo Alto in 2005, and later to a big campus in Menlo Park. The Meta campus is at 1 Hacker Way. Yes, that's the actual address. Its claim to fame for tourists is the big Facebook thumbs up, like sign at the entrance. People literally line up to take selfies with the like sign. Fun fact, on the back of that billboard sign is the logo of Sun Microsystems, the company that previously occupied the site. Sun's logo was left there intentionally as a reminder of how quickly things change in tech, a sort of memento mori for Silicon Valley companies. Meta's campus isn't open to the public for tours, but the sign is, and sometimes the company will open a pop-up gift shop. Meta's role in the Valley? It represents the social media and social networking boom of the 2000s, connecting billions of people, and yes, serving you endless cat memes and friend updates. It's also a reminder of how Silicon Valley companies can reshape communication worldwide, for better or worse. NVIDIA. Heading down to Santa Clara, one of the hottest companies in recent years is NVIDIA. Founded in 1993 by Jensen Huang, NVIDIA started out making graphics cards for gaming. Today, their specialty in graphics processing units, GPUs, has made them a leader in artificial intelligence and supercomputing. Their chips power everything from cutting-edge AI research, think self-driving car brains and AI like ChatGPT, to the graphics in your favorite video games. NVIDIA's campus recently got a major upgrade with the new Voyager building, opened in 2022 as a futuristic adit. Voyager is a 750,000 square foot complex designed with an open, collaborative, no way, and fun fact. It's named after a star. Yes, we have a spaceship at Apple and a starship at NVIDIA. Silicon Valley architects have a sci-fi imagination, it seems. While you probably can't stroll inside unless you have an invite, the NVIDIA Voyager building's exterior is an architectural marvel that tech enthusiasts might drive by to admire. NVIDIA's role in the Valley is a bit behind the scenes for lay visitors, but huge in impact. They provide the hardware fueling the current AI revolution. Plus, their stock made them one of the most valuable semiconductor companies ever, recently hitting over $1 trillion in market cap. talk about a Silicon Valley success story. Tesla, Inc. We can't forget Tesla. While Tesla's official headquarters moved to Texas in 2021, the company was born and bred in Silicon Valley and still has a massive presence here. Tesla was founded in 2003 by engineers Martin Eberhard, and later Elon Musk came on board in 2004, eventually leading the company. Tesla's mission was to prove electric cars could be awesome, and they did. The first Tesla Roadster hit the streets in 2008, and now Tesla's Model S, 3, X, Y, and the upcoming Cybertruck and new Roadster are known worldwide. The Tesla factory in Fremont, just on the edge of Silicon Valley, is where most of these cars come to life. As a visitor, you can't exactly tour the factory freely unless you're a Tesla owner who gets an invite for a tour, but you can visit the Tesla flagship showroom at Santana Row in San Jose, where they often showcase the latest models, sometimes even the Cybertruck on display. Tesla represents Silicon Valley's disruption of the traditional auto industry, bringing a software startup mentality to car manufacturing. It's a big part of the Valley's modern identity, showing that innovation here isn't just about phones and computers but can literally hit the road. Other notable companies. The list goes on. Intel, pioneers of the microprocessors, based in Santa Clara since the 1960s. Oracle, database giant in Redwood Shores, known for its weirdly awesome cylindrical blue office towers by the bay. Cisco Systems, the networking hardware king in San Jose. Netflix, yes, our binge-watching enabler, is headquartered in Los Gatos in the Valley's southwestern tip. Adobe, in downtown San Jose. HP, now split into two companies, but still with offices around Palo Alto. And so many startups and smaller companies, it'll make your head spin. Silicon Valley is home to thousands of tech companies, from two-person startups and coffee shops to mega corporations. The presence of these companies is what gives Silicon Valley its energy. Everywhere you go, you overhear tech talk, see company logos on buildings, and might even run into engineers or famous CEOs at the local Whole Foods. It's like Hollywood for tech. The stars are the gadgets and the geniuses who make them. In summary, the tech companies of Silicon Valley drive not just the local economy, but influence global culture and technology. They attract talent from all over the world. So walking around here, you'll hear a dozen languages, meet people from everywhere, all drawn by the allure of building the next big thing. As a traveler, even though you can't necessarily tour all their offices, just being in their vicinity is exciting if you're a tech fan. It's like visiting the headquarters of innovation itself. And who knows, maybe you'll grab a coffee next to an engineer who's working on the next iPhone or a Google X project. It's that kind of place. Landmarks and attractions in Silicon Valley. All right, now let's get into the must-see spots and attractions in Silicon Valley. This is a travel guide after all. While Silicon Valley isn't known for traditional tourist landmarks, no ancient ruins or big natural wonders here, you'll mostly see office parks and suburban neighborhoods. There are plenty of cool and quirky places to visit, especially if you're into technology. Here are some highlights that Zoltán checked out, and you might want to add to your itinerary. Googleplex and Android Statue Garden, Mountain View. As mentioned, Google's campus, the Googleplex, is a fun stop. You can wander around certain open areas and see the famous Android lawn statues. These are large sculptures representing each version of Google's Android operating system, typically named after sweets like cupcake, donut, ice cream sandwich, etc. It's like a little candy land of giant desserts, perfect for. Adjacent to the statues is the Google Visitor Center and Company Store, where you can buy Google-themed swag, t-shirts, mugs, even those propeller-topped Google hats if you want to get goofy. While you're there, you might spot a self-driving car, Waymo cruising around, or Google employees zipping by on multicolored bikes. The vibe is very open and friendly. Even though you can't enter the secure office buildings, the campus exterior makes you feel like you're in a tech playground. Pro tip: look for the life-sized T-Rex skeleton model, nicknamed Stan, on the Google grounds. Rumor has it Google keeps it there to remind themselves not to go extinct in the tech world. Apple Park and Apple Visitor Center, Cupertino. Apple Park, the giant ring spaceship campus, is a sight to behold even from a distance. Since it's mostly surrounded by trees and security, the best way to experience it as a visitor is to go to the Apple Park Visitor Center on N Tantau Ave. This visitor center is open to the public and includes a sleek Apple store with exclusive merch, an AR experience of the Apple Park. You can point an iPad at a scale model and see a 3D augmented reality overlay of the building, a cafe, and a rooftop terrace. From that terrace, you get a pretty nice view of the circular building across the street, enough to appreciate its scale and architecture. It's huge, about 0.5 kilometers in diameter, 4 stories tall, with glass. And yes, it looks like a landed UFO or a giant bagel, depending on your imagination. Even if you're not an Apple superfan, the architecture and the buzz around the place are worth experiencing. Don't forget to take a photo with the Apple Park sign outside and perhaps grab a coffee where Apple's own designers and engineers might be taking a break. If you're lucky, you might run into an Apple employee who can share a cool story, though they're often pretty hush-hush due to Apple's notorious secrecy. Original Apple Garage, Los Altos. Drive by 2066, Christ Drive, Los Altos, and you'll find a regular-looking suburban house that was the childhood home of Steve Jobs, also known as Steve Jobs' Garage. This is where Apple Computer was born in 1976. Now, note, this is a private residence today. Somebody actually lives there, and it's a designated historic site, so you can't enter or tour it, but you can view it from the street. There's not even a sidewalk, so just be respectful and quick. For many tech pilgrims, a photo of this modest garage is like visiting the tech equivalent of a temple. Steve Wozniak, Apple's co-founder, humorously insists Apple was actually born in the bedroom of the How Rage, but the legend of the garage lives on. It's a quick stop, but pretty inspiring to see how something world-changing can start in such an ordinary place. Computer History Museum, Mountain View. This museum is a must for anyone interested in the history of technology. Located not far from Google HQ, the Computer History Museum houses a large collection of historic tech artifacts. Think giant old mainframe computers, vintage PCs, retro robots, and even an original Google server rack built in a custom casing made of Lego bricks. They have exhibits tracing computing from the early days, even back to the abacus and antique calculators, through the development of transistors, silicon chips, up to modern AI. Notable pieces include one of the few working Enigma machines used in www code breaking and a restored IBM 1401 mainframe that they sometimes power up for demos. Zoltán was geeking out here for sure, as you could literally spend hours. Seeing items like a 1960s room-sized computer or the first-generation Apple products on display is like stepping. It's fascinating and also kind of funny. You realize that the smartphone in your pocket today has more computing power than what NASA had for the moon landing. If you have kids along, they might be amazed or amused to see floppy disks and realize how far technology has come. Highly recommended stop, and they have a nice gift shop with nerdy souvenirs. The Tech Interactive, San Jose, formerly known as the Tech Museum of Innovation. This is an interactive science and technology center. It's especially great if you have family or just enjoy hands-on exhibits. You can try out all sorts of things. Build a little robot, simulate driving on Mars, experience an earthquake simulator, and tons of cool experiments. It's not exclusively focused on Silicon Valley history, but it celebrates innovation in a fun way. Zoltán mentioned he spent a good chunk of time here playing like a kid and learning a lot in the process. If you need a break from visiting corporate campuses, the Tech Interactive offers a playful perspective on why Silicon Valley does what it does. It's all about curiosity and invention. Plus, they often have special exhibitions on things like biotechnology, virtual reality, etc., so check the schedule. Stanford University Campus, Palo Alto. Visiting Stanford is like visiting the intellectual heart of Silicon Valley. The campus is absolutely beautiful, with its distinctive California mission-style architecture, red tile roofs and sandstone arches, palm-lined boulevards, and lush courtyards. As a tourist, you can stroll through the main quad, visit the Stanford Memorial Church, gorgeous mosaics inside, and go up Hoover Tower, a tall tower with an observation deck giving you views of the whole valley. Stanford isn't just a pretty campus. It's where many Silicon Valley founders came from or got inspired. Google was born as a research project at Stanford, for example, and alumni like Hewlett, Packard, and thousands of others fuel the valley's companies. There's also the Stanford Dish Trail in the hills if you fancy a hike with a chance of bumping into tech execs jogging. For a tech twist, check out the Stanford Linear Accelerator Center, SLAC. You can't exactly tour the linear accelerator, but knowing that a 2-mile-long particle accelerator runs under the hills near campus is pretty cool. Also on campus is the Gates Computer Science Building. Yes, funded by Bill Gates, and Hewlett and Packard buildings, reminders of Stanford's tie to tech history. Pop into the Stanford bookstore for some Stanford merch. You'll blend right in with the students. Facebook Meta sign Menlo Park. As mentioned in the company section, if you find yourself near Menlo Park, swing by One Hacker Way for that iconic Facebook thumbs up sign photo. It's one of those did it for the gram moments, literally in front of the company that built Instagram. Just be prepared to wait your turn. It's a surprisingly popular attraction for something so simple. There isn't a formal visitor center, but sometimes there's a security guard who can point you to guest parking for a quick stop. HP Garage, Palo Alto. The HP Garage on Addison Ave is another quick historic stop, noted earlier in history. The tiny garage is fenced off but visible from the street. A plaque out front proclaims it the Birthplace Valley. If you're doing a tech history pilgrimage, it pairs well with the Steve Jobs Garage. You'll get a sense of how much historical innovation is packed into otherwise quiet residential neighborhoods here. NASA Ames Research Center and Moffett Field, Mountain View. If aerospace or space tech interests you, check out the NASA Ames Visitor Center. It's near the giant Hangar 1. You can't miss Hangar 1. It's a colossal historic blimp hangar, one of the world's largest freestanding structures. The visitor center is relatively small but has cool exhibits like a moon rock, models of spacecraft, and sometimes even a simulated space station module you can walk through. It highlights the space research done in Silicon Valley, including supercomputing and astrobiology. And hey, rocket science is part of Silicon Valley too. Companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, and others have offices in the area. NASA Ames itself has been around since the 1930s and was key. Now it collaborates on a lot of NASA's cutting-edge projects. So if you want a break from pure IT tech, drop by to get some space vibes. You're literally stepping into a place that helped design real spacecraft. Santana Row, plus Tesla Showroom, San Jose. Santana Row is an upscale outdoor shopping and dining district in San Jose. Why is it in a Silicon Valley guide? Well, beyond great restaurants and a chance to potentially spot off-duty tech elites unwinding, it's home to the Tesla. Here you can see Tesla's latest cars in person. Zoltán visited and even sat in a few models to get a feel. Sometimes they have the Roadster or the Cybertruck on display if timing is right. It's a chance to experience the Tesla vibe without going to the factory. Also, Santana Row is just a fun place to relax. Think of it as Silicon Valley's Rodeo Drive meets Soho. If you've been overloaded with tech info, this is a nice spot to chill with a coffee or a fancy meal and see some cool cars. The parking lot often has Lamborghinis and Ferraris, likely owned by successful startup founders. Intel Museum, Santa Clara. At Intel's headquarters, they have a small Intel Museum public. It showcases Intel's history and the making of semiconductors. You can learn about how chips are made, see silicon wafers, and even dress up in a bunny suit, the clean room outfit, for a photo. It's not huge. You'd spend maybe an hour. But considering Intel's key role in Silicon Valley, remember, they made the first microprocessors. It's a neat educational stop. Plus, admission is typically free. Check the hours in advance, as it's usually weekdays only. Zoltán's Silicon Valley experiences, Halloween, Cybertruck, and more. You've heard a lot about the places. Now let's get personal with some stories from Zoltán's trip to Silicon Valley. Zoltán visited in late October, which gave him a unique perspective on the local culture, because it was Halloween season. If you've never experienced Halloween in the US, Silicon Valley might surprise you with its blend of tech and tradition. Halloween in Silicon Valley. Zoltán was there during Halloween, and he noticed that people in Silicon Valley take this holiday very seriously, in a fun way. Neighborhoods in the valley were decked out with elaborate decorations. Think giant inflatable spiders on lawns, carved pumpkins on every doorstep, graveyard scenes set up on front yards, with fake tombstones that sometimes have witty, techie epitaphs like, "Here lies my social life, R.I.P., shipped a product on time." He saw families carving pumpkins and kids getting ready for trick-or-treating in awesome costumes. One cool thing he noticed, some tech companies embrace Halloween too. For example, Google has been known to allow employees to bring their kids for an office trick-or-treat, and offices get decorated with themes. Zoltán managed to attend a community Halloween event in Mountain View, where many Googlers were present with their families. Picture mini superheroes and princesses collecting candy from cubicles adorned with cobwebs. At Stanford Shopping Center, an open-air mall in Palo Alto, he also saw a Halloween pet costume contest. Yes, dogs in costumes. One pug was dressed as a Silicon Valley tech bro with a hoodie and toy laptop, which gave everyone a laugh. Test driving the Tesla Cybertruck. One of Zoltán's trip highlights was getting an opportunity to test drive a Tesla Cybertruck. Gen AI Summit Silicon Valley 2024. Another major highlight was Zoltán attending the Gen AI Summit 2024 in Santa Clara. This was a big tech event, in fact billed as the world's largest generative errands of that year. Zoltán was there, camera in hand, to capture the excitement, and yes, he made a whole separate video about it on this channel. Be sure to check that out if you're into AI. So, what was it like? Imagine thousands of AI enthusiasts, developers, and entrepreneurs all gathered to talk about the latest in AI, from large language models, like the one narrating this video, wink wink, to image generators and beyond. Big speakers included industry leaders and researchers sharing insights on how AI is changing everything from healthcare to entertainment. Tech conferences and events in Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is not only about the daily grind at tech companies, it's also home to some of the biggest tech conferences and events in the world. If you're planning a visit, it might be worth timing it around one of these events. Just be prepared for crowds and booked out hotels if you do. Here are a few major tech conferences and annual events that call Silicon Valley, or its immediate neighbor, San Francisco, home. For example, Google I/O, Apple WWDC, Worldwide Developers Conference, NVIDIA GTC, GPU Technology Conference. To highlight one recurring theme, Silicon Valley loves to show and tell. Whether it's a giant conference like Google I/O or a small demo day at a startup accelerator, people here regularly gather to demo products, share ideas, and learn from each other. It's like an ongoing education and networking jamboree. If you're a visitor, tapping into one of these events can elevate your trip from sightseeing to actually engaging with the tech community. You might leave with new friends, ideas, or at least a cool free t-shirt from an event, cherished souvenirs in geek circles. One thing to keep in mind, big conferences, hotel rates spike, and traffic gets crazier than usual, so plan accordingly. Also, some events like WWDC or I/O can make certain public areas busier. But don't let that deter you. Sometimes being there during an event is more exciting, even if you're not attending, because you can feel the buzz in the air. And who knows, maybe you'll bump into a famous tech CEO at a coffee shop. They all come out for these major events too. In summary, Silicon Valley's events calendar is packed and reflects its role as the global epicenter of tech innovation. No matter when you visit, chances are something techy will be going on, from a product launch to a startup mixer. Keep an eye out, join in if you can, and you'll get an insider taste of the Valley's pulse. Conclusion. So, is Silicon Valley worth visiting? Absolutely, if you're someone who's excited by technology, innovation, and the future. This place is like Disneyland for tech enthusiasts. But even if you're not a total geek, there's a unique cultural vibe here that's fascinating to experience. Where else can you see a Spaces, Apple Park, snap a selfie with a giant Android marshmallow, stand in the very garage where the first PC was born, and possibly witness a car that looks like a sci-fi tank, Cybertruck, driving by? It's a blend of history and future all in one. Silicon Valley is not a conventional tourist destination. You're not coming for scenic natural beauty or ancient architecture, though the weather is great and you can always hop over to San Francisco or the coast for more sights. You're coming to see where the tech that runs our world comes from, and to feel the environment that encourages that tech to flourish. For who might enjoy it? Obviously, tech professionals and students will be in heaven here, but also entrepreneurs, investors, or anyone curious about how startups work, or those who enjoy modern history, the story of how our phones and computers came to be. Even families can enjoy it. The museums and interactive centers are super kid-friendly and inspiring. Zoltán's verdict, and mine, your friendly AI narrator. Visiting Silicon Valley gives context to all those gadgets and apps we use daily. When you walk around Palo Alto or San Jose, you realize that behind every innovation was a community and a place. You'll drive down unassuming roads and someone will say, "Oh, that building is where inted the microchip." Or, "See that cafe? That's where WhatsApp's founders brainstormed their app." It's like a scavenger hunt of innovation hotspots. And being here might just spark your own creativity. Don't be surprised if you leave with a head full of ideas or even the itch to start your own project. That's the magic of Silicon Valley. It makes innovation contagious. Before we wrap up, let's quickly recap the journey. We explored the rich history of Silicon Valley, from fruit orchards to the semiconductor boom and the personal computer revolution. We met the tech giants, Google, Apple, Nvidia, Tesla, and more, that call this place home and drive its global impact. We guided you through key landmarks and attractions to visit, from the Googleplex to the Computer History Museum to Stanford University, so you won't miss the must-see spots. We shared Zoltán's personal experiences, enjoying Halloween American style, zipping around in a Cybertruck, and diving deep into AI at the Gen AI Summit, adding a personal touch to the tech tour. And we highlighted the big tech events and conferences in case you want to time your trip with a splash of extra excitement. Just imagine being here during a big product launch. The excitement is electric. Now, you might be thinking, how do I plan a Silicon Valley trip? It's relatively easy. Fly into San Francisco or San Jose, rent a car. Public transit exists, but a car is more convenient for hopping between spread-out campuses, and map out your tech tour. There are even guided tours that will take you to several HQs in one day if you prefer that. But however you do it, bring your curiosity and a camera, and maybe an empty bag for all the swag and gadgets you might acquire. We hope this guide gives you a taste of what Silicon Valley has to offer beyond the code and circuit boards. It's a vibrant place where big ideas are born, and you can feel that energy when you visit. Zoltán certainly came back from California with a ton of stories and inspiration, and perhaps you will too. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out other travel videos on Future Voyager. Zoltán has taken us to many incredible places around the world, exploring how technology, culture, and travel intersect. From futuristic cities in Asia to historical sites in Europe, the adventure continues on this channel. And if you're new here or haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join the Future Voyager family. We've got plenty more journeys with a tech twist coming up. Thank you for watching. We appreciate every like and comment. Let us know in the comments which Silicon Valley spot you'd love to visit. Or if you've been here, what was your favorite part? Any secret startup garage we didn't mention? Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if it sparked your interest and share it with friends who might enjoy a geeky travel guide. From Zoltán and the AI avatar, that's me. Thanks for traveling with us through Silicon Valley. Until the next adventure, stay curious and keep exploring the future. Happy travels and see you in the next video.